Okay, so this is the last part. Just kind of reviewing some stuff, the case, and then the lecture questions. So the case is on Sandra. That was the gig story, which is a real story about her job as a workfare worker. Added to it a little bit. She's single parent with two kids. I think from the story she just has a history of working in a bank. Give her some low back pain. She's out of work. These are the things we're kind of tackling. She needs to find another job. She's having issues around sleep, managing her time, finding healthy activities to reduce her stress. So when I kind of think about work and getting back to work with somebody, it's kind of a fine line. We're not really job counselors, but it's kind of a lot of the skills that are involved that are really OT kind of skills. Things that you could do with her in her case, for example. You could help her kind of explore other professions that may be, more to her liking, give her more meaning. Tools you could use to kind of tease that out. You could use the checklist, the activities checklist kind of thing. You could use the worker role interview. That might help tease stuff out that's meaningful, not meaningful to her. That free assessment, really gives her getting that state of flow that she really loves to do. You could assess her to see what might be a good fit in terms of profession. Assess her memory, her attention, her executive processing. What is she really capable of doing? What would work for her, not work for her? Does she need to go back and get some education, that sort of stuff? And then maybe help her get out like a plan of action. How can you go about pursuing this potential career change or getting a new job? Job counselor. How would you go about even getting a counselor? Go to that counselor. Go with them. This is what you're thinking of doing. So you have a plan ready to go. This might kind of set her in the right direction without actually becoming her job counselor. Set her up, give her a plan, and give her a direction. So when she goes to that counselor, she's kind of knows where she wants to go with it. Okay, the issues around sleep and time and other activities, that will get into the treatment box for stress-related stuff. This is really basic OT stuff. It just kind of organizes it, gets some of these categories. It's good to know all this stuff for the midterm because you make it a case with stress. You make a deal with how you're going to help them manage that stress, some of this basic stuff. Talked about finding that job that gives the person satisfaction, all these different components, better environment, the resources for sure, knowing your resources around job counselors and job programs, back to work programs. And then particular things around stress. This breaks it down for sleep hygiene. These are things you could do with Sandra around sleep hygiene. I'm not going to get into, I think, the very familiar kind of things. You can read that. Time stuff, breaking down the time using activity analysis, breaking down her day, that sort of stuff would work for her. And probably just some mind-body stuff to bring her whole stress level down around yoga, whatever she likes to do. Maybe some meditation, mind diversion stuff. This is all kind of stuff that would help her. Just basic, fundamental kind of OT stuff that you all know about, I'm sure. Okay, then going into the lecture questions. So to make this clear, so these lecture questions are on the week 4 quiz. So when you come in for our lab on week 4, you're going to have these questions. And then some of these questions will also be on the midterm. I think I said earlier that there was no quiz. There's no quiz on week 5 because that's what the midterm is. But for week 4, which is all about before you come into your lab, there is a quiz and they are on these lecture questions. What are 2 strategies to assist work-related stress and 2 strategies to address stress in general? Going back to the stress solutions, make the job more satisfying. It may take a new job, maybe not, and then the better environment would help around that. And then stress in general, we talked about that, but mind-body things, mind diversion things could help with that. Name a job and 3 aspects of executive processing in that job. Can be any job. The ones that jumped out at me, we talked about was the OT, being an occupational therapist. three big things that jumped out: decision making, self-monitoring, and planning. So decision making, self-monitoring, and planning around occupational therapy. Two positive aspects of work. This goes back to that first slide when we were defining work. Role identity, self-esteem is a big part of people's job, what they identify with it. Being productive, to me, is a big positive aspect of work. Name a job you consider satisfying. Why is it satisfying? And then the opposite, name a job you don't consider satisfying. Why do you think the job is not so satisfying? So it's going to tap into personal experiences you've had with work. I'm sure you've all worked jobs. Maybe you could even break down one job, the parts of it you liked, parts of it you didn't like. So just list those, again, connecting it to the PowerPoint and the lecture stuff. What is one aspect of childcare that makes it so stressful? There are a lot of different things. From the story, what jumped out at me was loss of identity. She's like, who she was kind of was lost. And this kind of relates to the loss of roles. I think the lack of routine is also a big thing that really makes it so stressful and made it so stressful for her. What is one type of attention? Give an example. I'll give an example for three different types of attention. Sustained attention, homework. How long can you sit down and just focus in on your homework? Studying, how long can you study for? Alternating attention. Think of the secretary, she's dealing with the public. She goes back to a computer, she gets a phone call, she's alternating back and forth. Selective attention. Think of focusing on specific details within a range of details, like a architectural plan or a schematic, and there's certain details you want to focus on, and you got to filter out the distractions. Another one would be being able to read in a noisy environment, say like bus station, people are coming, going, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so what's coming up again? Quiz, week 4 quiz. Before we start our review in the lab, we're just going to review for the midterm. Going to do a simulated exam. So there will be a quiz on those questions I just went through. And then the case study, make sure you get that done so I can give you good feedback so you do well in your exam. The exam can be very tricky if you don't get that format down, and that's where it's really helpful to get that done and get it in. Finish your exercises and post it, and you get your mother, what you should have done, your mother's story, what you should have done before